Up, Lancaster? How you going? How y'all doing? Welcome to Lancast. Danny and Josh here. And before we get into, we're a local Lancaster show, but I want to give a short monologue about the last 3 weeks because we're 3 weeks into the second Trump presidency, and a lot of stuff going on, a lot of hysteria out there. First of all, we think there's a lot of wins. Maybe there's too much to cover in this podcast. And, there's a lot of stuff I also don't understand and I want to be critical of, but I found it's hard to be an objective critic of Trump when the other side is knee-jerk opposing literally all his policies and proclamations, And so I want to start by imploring my, left-leaning liberal friends to turn off the mainstream media and sit down and have a conversation with us. Secondly, it's a little different experience for me personally because I don't know about, it's probably different for you, but for me in 2016, even though, I was favoring Trump and I knew he was 1,000 times better than warmonger Hillary, I was actually still a third party voter. And so I feel like being a third party voter gives you a little more conversational leverage to show people you're being objective, especially on things like war and foreign policy, where the two parties are kind of both bad. But so I remember I used to call out liberals on Russiagate BS all the time, and they'd maybe be like, "Well, you're just a Trumper," and I could legitimately say, "No, actually, I'm not. I'm just objective." Which brings me to my third point I wanted to bring up. So the last time, I feel like there was so much energy wasted on Russiagate and made up stuff like, "Oh, he stole the election, whatever. He's a Putin puppet," and all this stupid stuff that we know was fake and it was proven to be fake. And everyone was about, there's Nazis everywhere. There's closet racists. And there's still some of that this time around. People are freaking out more about Elon as a Nazi, stupid stuff like that. And maybe there's new boogeymen like the Christian nationalism or whatever. But one thing I see that's better this time is because Trump's policies are much stronger this time. I think it's forcing them, they're opposing it stronger, but at least the opposition is talking about policies. You know what I mean? There's an opportunity for actual conversation here, which, there's too much to get into on this show because we're trying to focus more on local. But so the last thing I wanted to point out is, it's fine when people, frantically post on Facebook and complain about stuff, but whatever, it doesn't change anything. But what bothers me is when the newspaper gets involved and tries to like passively shame us. So I want to share an example that they use this language like, "Is this who we are?" and like, "Is this what Trump voters voted for?" I have a specific example. Let me share my screen. Let's see. Present. Sorry, I almost forgot how to do this. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, this was from last Sunday. We're recording on Saturday night, by the way. So there'll probably be more nonsense in the Sunday edition. Yeah. Can you all see this? Yeah. For those who are listening to audio, I'm sharing an article. This is from the editorial board last Sunday. "Is this what Lancaster County Trump voters envisioned happening to immigrants and refugees?" And there's all this language about, we want to start by asking, like, "Is this what you voted for?" Yeah, we have questions. Is this what the 166,261 Lancaster County voters who cast their ballots for Trump envisioned? And there's stuff about immigration and, the parents of immigrants are worried, etc. And, that's a complicated issue. Like, I personally hope, if there's deportations that they go humanely and smoothly. Like, it's, are we supposed to do nothing about illegal immigration? And anyway, so the article ends down here. "Is this who we are?" This might be the biggest question of all. Is that not loaded language, Josh? Like, doesn't that sound like they're trying to passively shame us? Like, because and then there's they did it again on Wednesday. They repeated themselves by referencing the same article from the past Sunday. And here it is.
Well, Oh, you're
Yeah.
into it. All right.
Yeah. No, I'm almost done here. Sorry. I don't want to take
No,
up
no,
too
you were
much.
asking me the question. I was like, I was.
Yeah. Yeah. So this one's about Church World Services furloughing some of its staff. And yeah, that's unfortunate because sure, they do some good work um, for not just illegal immigrants, but like refugees and legal immigrants. But it's they have to use this language here. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm scrolling too fast. Yeah, we asked. They referenced their editorial for Sunday. If this is what see, they repeat themselves here. Is this what you guys envisioned? And they end the article the same way. It's like to slightly rework a question we asked Sunday. Is this new reality who we are now? And just it's just annoying. It's like twice in 1 week. Like, are they going to ask that every week? Like, is your point to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I regret my vote for Trump now"? It's like, no, I don't. But anyway, so just to end this little diatribe, monologue, whatever you want to call it. You know, the, I guess my point is, I hope that you guys will actually on the left will have a conversation with us on the conservative side, and this goes for both sides. Let's actually listen to each other when we talk. Um, and lastly, doing your own research is a good thing, by the way. So don't don't watch mainstream media. This is for those who do, and be suspicious of anyone who tells you otherwise. But if you're going to complain about everything, back it up with receipts, because just remember the story of the boy who cried wolf. Because some of us who I like to think we've done our homework, we'd be hard pressed to believe that there's a wolf behind every issue. That's my monologue. All right.
No, that's
Comments,
well said.
Josh.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's well said. I don't understand why people on the left think that just because you voted for Trump, you agree with every single thing Trump does. It's a
Exactly.
little bit,
Right.
it's a little bit obtuse, if you ask me. I mean, just
Yeah.
like I would prefer Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid to be abolished, but obviously
Hmm.
Trump isn't going to do that anytime soon. He probably will never do it. But I voted for him because he was preferable to the other option. Like
Absolutely.
I mean, if I had a best friend who did something terrible, does that mean that because he's my best friend that I'm terrible too, or that like I condone the terrible thing he did? Absolutely not. Um,
Right.
and that's not to say that like the what Doge is doing, and going into the USAID and going to other things and slashing spending, we're gonna
Mhm.
cut deep, most likely. We're not just gonna skim off the fat and leave the good stuff. We're probably gonna cut some meat too along with that fat, and then where it's needed, we're gonna need to mend it. It's
Mhm.
just going to be growing pains. I guarantee you the people on the left, when Obamacare started and all that hecticness happened, and people were getting, like me, who couldn't afford Obamacare, got fined for the first 3 years because I couldn't afford it. So I got fined at the end of the year and had to pay into the government because I couldn't afford it. I'm sure
Mhm.
they didn't like the idea that millions of uh, you know 18 to 30-year-old citizens were having to pay in on a penalty because they couldn't afford Obamacare. um,
Right.
I'm sure they didn't condone everyone's premiums going up when Obama said time after time after time that your premiums won't go up. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. All those lies. I mean, so like I don't expect anything different. Of course, they thought Obamacare was a good idea, so they elected Obama to get that in. But there was growing pains, major
Mhm.
growing pains before it even was considerably
Right.
better. And it's not even great right now, but it's serviceable for millions of people. But
Right.
it's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, we're going to cut a lot of spending,
Yep.
and people are going to like suffer, and you know some things are going to happen. But I mean, we have to start somewhere. you know
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't we can't keep on going the way we're going and expect different results. So, yeah, I didn't vote. Just because I voted for Trump doesn't mean I condone everything he does.
Right. Right.
Like,
But they try to associate. That's kind of like the modern liberal mentality, is that, yeah, you're associated with every bad policy if you vote for some. It's so sanctimonious, like,
it's
you
very,
know,
yeah.
you know, and maybe once upon a time there were Republicans doing that too. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sure we did. I'm sure
yeah.
we did.
Right. Right.
I mean, there's horror stories with it. See, this is why anarchy to me is a beautiful idea, but no one will accept. Is because at least with anarchy, you can have a community of people who agree with you and love you and care about you,
Hmm.
and everything is voluntary.
Right.
That's the problem with the government. That's the
Yeah.
problem with an overarching government in any nation, in any country. You're gonna have issues like this.
Sure. Sure.
So, like,
Um,
as long as people demand a government, it's gonna be imperfect.
right. Right. And I love the term you use, growing pains. Like, yeah, there's unintended consequences to every action, but
Hmm.
and yeah, there's going to be growing pains along the way. It doesn't mean you should never take that action and maintain the status quo. And another good example before we move on to local stuff, the USAID, well, USAID. I shouldn't say aid because that's misleading. That's not what AID stands for.
CIA, it's a CIA
It's a CIA front,
operation,
right?
basically. It's
It
basically a
funds
front.
NGOs abroad that, right, regime change NGOs.
It
And
was the machine that they used to overthrow the duly elected Ukrainian president in
yep,
2014.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
the vehicle they used to fund that revolution.
absolutely,
Started this Russia-Ukrainian war to begin with.
absolutely,
They've done that in several places. It was in Afghanistan, Iraq.
yes,
It's absolutely insane that, I mean, I think everyone has always wondered, like, how do we turn governments over without firing a shot? This is how.
right, right.
This
So
is the revolution that you and I have talked about before, but we really didn't have the name of how they did it. And now we know.
yeah, no, it's amazing. It exceeds my expectations of what I was hoping Trump would do. Like, most of us didn't know what USAID was until a couple weeks ago, and
Mhm.
now, wow, this could really make a difference. Now, here, I mean, the interesting thing is, yeah, I hear a lot of complaints by the other side about, well, this is slashing a lot of good programs too, and to an extent, people are right. Like, I mentioned to you, like the de-land mining project in Cambodia and Laos, that, they got rid of all these unexploded munitions last year, and now that program is on halt, and even Congressman Smucker supposedly supports it. Also, Catholic Relief Services had to lay off a bunch of people because their funding got cut. And so my answer to that is, yeah, I hate to see those things go, but imagine the analogy, like, if you're taking down the mafia, it may also necessitate shutting down the soup kitchen that mob family also runs. It doesn't mean, yeah, like, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So those are
Oh
the
yeah,
soup
yeah.
kitchens in this analogy. And I'm not saying I want those things have have their funds cut, but we're just going to have to work to get the fundings from somewhere else. You know what I mean? So,
Well, if you want me to put my libertarian hat on again, I will.
right,
Um, this has the government should not have anything to do with this in the first place. There's always
right,
going to be corruption in the government, so why would you expect aid to be any different?
right.
I mean, even Zelensky said that we gave $200 billion and he only received $77 billion. Where's the rest of it?
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah,
so so. I mean, when it comes to like goodwill and um, charity and donations and stuff, it's better to keep the government out of it in the first place.
right.
Oh,
But yeah, that is a better model, and I wish people would go to the libertarian lectures about the free market, because I mean, it changed me. It clarified a lot of things for me when I started paying attention to that. But yeah, to get to that, imagine that as a utopia. To get from here to there, there's going to be growing pains, and
Well,
right,
here, I mean, if we have the ability to follow some of these programs that the federal government is going to cut, and say it's in a local in Cambodia, do you think good-willed people are going to stop removing mines that could kill people?
no, absolutely not.
No. So like
Right,
the need, so whether the government funds it or another great charity or someone with passion starts it up and starts doing it, um, if there is a need, there's usually good people to fill it. And the problem with government getting involved in charities is that typically the people getting involved in those charities are looking out for themselves and not the charity,
right.
because it's a job then. And who wants to complete a charity job when you know that, oh, when I complete this job, I'm not going to get paid anymore?
Right. I think people also don't realize that free markets have lifted people out of poverty. It just the market forces work. They just work better than having the government be the ultimate beneficiary and having control over everything. But this is a philosophical discussion. But
My
I'm
bad.
just hoping the other side will engage in that with us instead of just thinking we're uncompassionate people. And is that the word? Yeah. You know
Hey,
what I mean?
yeah, I mean, that's what the left and the Democrats have over Republicans. They really do win the argument of compassion and caring. Um, yeah, they've been winning that for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But there is just something about a conservative man who has, like me, a family of 6 to feed.
Hmm.
Um, I can only be compassionate for so many people, and that's
Right.
me and my family and my inner
Sure.
circle. And as long and my kids' bellies and my
Hmm.
wife's belly and my household comes before I could even think about being charitable and being compassionate for other people. Um, and here's the thing: if
Sure.
the liberals would think that way too,
Hmm.
I guarantee you the world would be a better place, because I believe there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about, why are you cleaning out a splinter out of someone's eye when you have a pike in yours? Everyone
Hmm.
needs
Yeah. Yeah. I love that
everyone
line.
needs to
Yep.
look at their own eyes and then fix what you need to
Absolutely.
fix, and then when you have time, work on everything else.
Yeah.
And that
And I agree.
go
And I think most people do think that way. Like most people, when it boils down to it, at the end of the day, that are looking out for their own families first. I mean, you got to put food on the table. I just think the liberal side is a little more sanctimonious. Like they say they're more compassionate, but
Mhm.
it's kind of like the NIMBY attitude. Like, okay, well, how many immigrants are you taking into your backyard? Like,
Well,
it's
here's the other thing. If you're so worried about aid to other countries, how about you empty out your pockets?
exactly
Yeah,
right.
why don't you empty out your pockets and try to impact what the cutting of government is going to cut?
Right.
Like, again, I guarantee you, if say you donated $100 a month to something that the USAID is doing, um,
Hmm.
how much of that $100 is actually getting to that project in Cambodia?
Right. Right.
ten
Probably
dollars, $5?
depends on how much overhead is. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So,
Absolutely.
so, so say you go on Facebook and you find someone locally in Cambodia who is doing it. You get their address and you send them the $100 a month.
Hmm.
How much of that's going to actually go to that mission in Cambodia?
If you send it directly to somebody,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean, depends on if that person is honest or not. If they pocket it for
Well,
themselves.
sure. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, the idea that a government as big as ours can go and efficiently go and take care of something like that and actually uh, fix the problem and it be efficient and all the money actually go there is very low, in my opinion.
Yeah. So maybe it might be a good segue into local because I feel like if the government is successful in cutting these federal funds, some of it might be left on the state or local level for, right, either individual donors or getting state level funds for things like education. We didn't even get into the Department of Education cuts, but that's kind of a metaphor for all these other things that are being
Mhm.
cut. So, do we want to talk about state stuff now, like the state budget?
Yeah. Let's talk about the enormous budget that Shapiro wants us to have.
Yeah. So here's I mean, I didn't follow it as closely. You brought it up to me, and to be honest, wasn't paying attention until I read Tom Jones's statement on it that you brought to my attention. So,
Mhm.
so right now, for those who are listening to audio, I'm bringing up Tom Jones's page. He says, "Governor's budget proposal not right for PA." And he issued the following statement: "Now is not the time for state government to be spending more of Pennsylvania's hard-earned money. Unfortunately, that is the plan the legislature was presented with by the governor during his address today. The $12 billion rainy day fund and the budget surplus will very shortly run dry due to overspending imposed by the Shapiro administration." I don't know if I need to read the whole thing. Was there anything else that stood out here? I mean, yeah, wasn't the budget increased by significant, like 7% from the last year?
Yeah,
I don't want to misquote it or
I think that
misinform people.
I think it was 7.
Yeah, I do
But
recall.
either way, we have a $12 billion rainy day fund that we have as a state, and Shapiro, since he's been
Yep.
elected, has been draining it to do. I believe most of it has been going to schools, and he has also been draining it to for bridge work. If I remember from last year's budget, it was for bridges in Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
Which, by the way, I mean, we obviously bridges are important. Obviously, schools are important. The problem is
Right.
that we spend over $20,000 a year per kid in this state, um, and some states are even are that are comparable to us, both in GDP and in production and in like
Hmm.
culture. Other states are spending like 14 $14,000
Yep.
per child, and it's just the rainy day fund is supposed to be what it says, the rainy day fund. It's for catastrophes, um,
Right.
floods. If we had a hurricane damage, if a hurricane ever went this far, um, the idea that what Shapiro to me is doing politically is that he's trying to build a resume to run for president one day.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting. Yeah.
so
I've heard that.
he's trying his hardest to show growth in the Pennsylvania economy, show growth in better roads, better bridges, quote unquote better schooling. Because hey, I spent more money than any other governor in Pennsylvania history in education. Um,
Right.
and
Yeah.
he'll find some kind of arbitrary way to say that the test scores have went up since we added so many $1 billion to education, and this is all just so he can be a successful presidential candidate, whether it's in 4 years, whether it's in 8 years. He's basically draining the rainy day fund solely for himself.
Well,
Like,
it
don't
sounds like an effective strategy.
yeah, because no one's going to think about, how did that money get there for him to spend all of it, for him to get all this to get done. They're just going to be like, oh, wow, he did all this stuff. He was a successful governor. Um, so in my opinion, that's what this whole thing is. He doesn't care about the Pennsylvania people. He's just trying to climb the political ladder.
Right. Are you able to see the screen here? I did find
Yeah.
the I can't play the video, but yeah, this verifies right. It's a 7.5% increase over the current year
Jeez.
spending, while revenues are projected to increase by just 2.8%. Well,
Mm.
that's the problem. I guess we're just going to spend more anyway.
And we're
Yeah,
already how much are we in debt as a state?
I don't have that figure up.
I
I have
thought
to
it
look
was
it up.
in I thought we were like 50 billion, I think.
It's well, I mean the proposals for 51.47 billion doesn't say how much we're in debt right now.
Hold on. Well, when I ran for state house, I had the number.
Ah, nice. Yeah, you gotta have that on hand, like, just be able to pull it out of your pocket.
Oh, that's what I did. I'm pulling it out of my pocket right now. Oh my
Literally.
gosh. Okay. 2024 fiscal year Pennsylvania state budget was $62 billion. The state's local government debt was about $84 billion.
Ah, gee. Well, not a good sign for PA. Hmm,
Oh my goodness. In 2020, Pennsylvania's debt per capita was just shy of $4,000 per person.
wow. That's
Jeez.
that's crazy. How many of the average Pennsylvanian realizes that? I mean, I didn't know that till you just said it. That's
And we're
discouraging.
living in a time, by the way, where the majority of Americans can't afford a $500 emergency fund.
Right. Yeah. $500, right.
Yeah.
It seems like it should be manageable, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. So other local issues, do we wanna get into the bird flu or, well, we mentioned Tom Jones, he's in the state, Senate or state House. Do we wanna talk about the state Senate race? Or we
Yeah.
could yeah.
Yeah. Um, we are excited to announce that the candidate for the 36th seat for the Senate, which is well, not all of Lancaster County, but a majority of Lancaster County, will be on our podcast in the coming weeks.
Yep.
We're going to try to do that in person. It's looking like it's going to be remote, though.
Okay.
But yeah, he said, Josh Parsons has said, we'll have a good talk and nothing is off the table, so we can bring our hard hitting questions. And I also thought
Awesome.
anyone who is of the other side, um,
Mhm.
which we love all of you, anyone who's on the other side,
Yep.
if you want to email us questions, I would be more than happy to bring up questions from the other side in the 36th district and
Uh,
and the right side.
same.
Um, yeah, we could. I mean, I'm saying it right now. If you hear it, jot some questions down, send us an email, and we'll get those to Josh, and hopefully we'll have time to answer all of them. But I know I want to talk to him about, how stagnant the Senate is. Our
Mhm.
PA Senate is very stagnant. Um, and some people who are in the House, like I've talked to Tom Jones quite often. He refers the Senate um, a whole bunch of little kingdoms, and
Hmm,
he
interesting.
said that's exactly how these senators treat it. They treat their districts as their kingdoms. um, and I just thought that was really really interesting. The way
That
he
is
said.
interesting. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
when you think about it, you think of like Game of Thrones, but
right.
to me, looking at the Senate, even though it is very stagnant,
Mhm.
we had the nomination vote you and I were at for us to vote for Brett Miller or for
Endorse. Right.
Josh Parsons. The reason why I was so excited for Josh Parsons to be our nominee was because I think he understands that the Senate is really stagnant.
Mhm.
The House is very narrow, and because of the beauty of our government, the party still has power. Um, if they can
Mhm.
just have one of the three branch, well, not three branches, but the three levels of creating a law. So Pennsylvania, they have a Democrat governor, Democrat House, and a Republican Senate.
Mhm.
Thank God for the Republican Senate. Um,
Yeah.
so hopefully most things that get passed out of the House will be slapped down by the Senate. Um,
Mhm.
so hopefully nothing real damaging actually happens, while the Democrats are in power in the House. But because our system is like this, it makes our system very slow, very stagnant. So how you were talking about how the left is sanctimonious about,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, the idea of Parsons being in the Senate the way he talks, the way he carries himself, that bulldog mentality,
Mm-hmm.
him being in the airborne, Republicans around the state are going to love that, a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know much about the Democrat who's going to be going up against him other than he's been referred to as your typical woke middle-aged man.
Yeah. His name is James Andrew Malone. He's the current mayor of East Petersburg. So he's who the Democrats chose. And I honestly don't know anything about him either, but he'd be welcome to be on our show.
Yeah, I'd have him on. I mean, I
right.
hope he doesn't think the word woke is a derogatory term. It's just like a definition to me of like how, like what you stand your morals on. But
Right.
yeah, I really hope that Josh wins, and I think the state Senate is lacking a bulldog Republican
Mm-hmm.
in it. The House is full of bulldog Republicans who are vocal, and you have the Freedom Caucus. The Senate is more like, oh, it's like full of a bunch of
Get
Mitch
along.
McConnells. It's just,
Oh man. That's
it's
not
just,
good.
it's just that doesn't that you don't see like anyone like a David Zimmerman in the
Mm-hmm.
Senate,
Right.
or like Tom Jones in the Senate. So to have an airborne soldier, representing us in the Senate and being that vocal leader
Mm-hmm.
of our party, that just sounds great. So I'm excited for him to
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
hopefully win and represent us well.
That's basically why I voted to endorse him too. I like your analysis. Did you? I looked a little bit into there's going to be a third party candidate on the ballot, a libertarian candidate, Zachary Moore,
Mm-hmm.
and you've met him.
Oh yeah, I know him well. I
Yeah.
know him well.
So I actually looked up. I didn't know anything about him, but I tried to do my homework before we came on. There was an ABC27.com article which says he's a Millersville University graduate, and he says he's adamant about government transparency, accountability, fiscal responsibility, and uh, fixing schools. And he's quoted as saying, "Virtually nothing is working well now. We need school choice, property tax relief, and no matter how the funding formula is tweaked, schools will never be fairly funded by government," Moore said. He said he is prepared to debate candidates from either major party when nominated. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I know about him. But do you have any comments about any conversations you had with him, or does that sound accurate?
No, that's accurate. I mean,
Yeah.
he's more left libertarian than me. Like I'm right libertarian, he's left libertarian.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
he's like he's a really smart, really good guy.
Mm-hmm.
He jumped in. I think so. I was like the welcoming guy from the party when he
Uh-huh.
reached out to Lancaster, the Lancaster. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the acronym. The LLPA, or Libertarian Party,
Oh yeah.
Lancaster
Of
County.
Lancaster
My
County.
goodness,
Yeah.
whatever that acronym is.
Right.
Anyways, is it the LCLP?
I,
Yeah, LCLP. Anyways,
yeah.
so I was like the person who, I took him out to a bar in Mount Joy,
Uh-huh.
Twisted Pine, shout out, and
Yeah, that's a great place.
yeah, great place. And we talked for like 3-4 hours. Like we talked for a while, like into the
Nice.
night. Like I think it was almost midnight when I got home. Um, you know how I am.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I know who you are.
yeah, we just talked about everything, philosophy, government. Like he's a very sharp, very smart dude. And I would say like if he won,
Mm-hmm.
probably doesn't have a shot.
Right.
He would probably um go, like probably vote a lot like Parsons would.
Okay, good. That's
Um,
good to hear.
well, that's because I think Josh is a little bit more liberty Republican than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Zach's a great dude. Love talking to him. If he was in the Republican Party, he could do some damage, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yep.
yeah, I love him. He's a good dude.
All
Very
right.
good dude.
Well, yeah, I'm excited to. Yeah, and he's welcome to come on the show too.
Oh yeah, I'll reach
Great.
out to him.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good. The next topic, do we want to talk about the
the scariest thing in the world.
yeah, lock your doors because
Put a mask on.
there's a new pandemic in town, the bird flu. It's coming for you. Like you might have sniffles at night.
uh,
Man.
are you pulling anything up, or we're just gonna talk about it?
I have something. Well, I do have something. Hold on, let me look. Let me close this. I do have a folder for bird flu here. I'm trying to remember what. Oh yeah, you shared with me that HB 324. Hold on. Let me. I'll share this then. Bird flu. Right. Yeah, this was the. Well, actually, I want to save that for last. I just want to. Yeah. So bird flu. This is how I first knew people are starting to panic. And one of my Facebook friends.
What is that?
Who's a Democrat.
Is that all on the road?
Yeah, can you believe that? This must have been in the newspaper, and my friend shared it.
That? What?
What are you talking about? This sign here, the avian
yes.
flu advisor. It is kind of hilarious now that I think about it.
Why aren't you doing that for humans? It's like the birds are going to read that, like, oh, I better fly away.
And, yeah, why is it a road sign? Like,
It's not gonna. It doesn't affect humans. It's like one in 500 million of a chance that you would get it. Like it's.
I'm really glad I shared this slide. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous if you think about it. Like, why is it a road sign? Like, this is going to cause a major traffic delay because why? There's some sick birds up the road, like, or you're going to start convulsing and all of a sudden need to wear a mask while you're driving. I don't know. It is pretty ridiculous.
That's on Lancaster Online.
Yeah, this was from a few days ago. And
why are they creating a panic? That's going to create after COVID. After COVID, that's going to create a massive panic. You put that on the side of the road. What are they?
I know. Well, maybe that's the plan here, Josh. It's going to be a little harder sell than COVID, like, right?
But
because
who puts that sign up? Like, is that a municipality? Is that PennDOT? Like,
we should reach out to LNP. Why don't you ask your buddy Jackson? Like, I have no idea. Yeah,
I should. Like, that's going to terrify people. That is going to legitimately.
That's the idea.
And listen, guys. I'm in the chicken industry. Okay.
Yep.
My company I work for cleans the chicken houses that have avian flu. We service those houses that have avian flu. No one that goes into those houses to wash them, to fog them, to fumigate them, to disinfect them, die. Okay. None of us have keeled over. Okay. We've been dealing with bird flu for about a month and a half now. Like it's been like kind of slowly spreading from Maryland up north. Like none of the people I work with are dead. I mean, humans don't. Again, it's like a 1 in 500 million chance that you could even get it or die from it. That's insane to put that on the side of the road.
But Josh, just to be safe, I think they better come up with a vaccine for it. And gosh darn it, I hope RFK doesn't get confirmed because he's gonna stand up to big pharma and like keep us from getting that vaccine. That was sarcasm, by the way, if anyone's listening.
I don't think it's a really good idea to scare people about bird flu. It's just, I think people need to calm down a little bit and slow down about the bird flu.
Oh my gosh, that's a scary good imitation. Wow. You've been practicing that.
I've been working on that for months.
That's good. And I know you're imitating him with affection because we love RFK. And
I love RFK.
I hope he does get confirmed despite the attempts of the crazy other side who are on. Oh, that was another thing I wanted to share if we have time, like the payroll of, Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Sanders. Yeah, they're
so funny.
Among the top recipients from Big Pharma, and I have the graphics somewhere. But but before we get, I'm jumping ahead. HB 324. I don't know if you guys can see this. If I can zoom in here, Is this showing up on my screen?
Yeah.
Um, so this is a House memoranda. It's going to be a bill to. I can't read this small print. You're more familiar. Can you read that?
So basically what the
Yeah.
bill is that it's enacting another bill that was an act that was voted on, I think, in 1956, where they're going to tweak the power of the Secretary of Ag for Pennsylvania, give them some more emergency powers, which they already have, to now allow poultry technicians to not be American citizens.
Hmm.
Now that doesn't sound like a very big thing, but to have someone who is not an American citizen to step onto a man's farm and say that I'm here from the government, I'm going to kill your chickens and your cow and your cat and your dog, and there's nothing you
Mhm.
can do about it. Just the sound of that doesn't sound very good, because you're
Mm-mm.
going to have someone that isn't even a U.S. citizen enforcing United States law, Pennsylvania law, while that person isn't even a citizen of that state or a citizen of that nation. So how
Right.
could they possibly actually know the farmer's rights?
Right.
Just the emergency powers that the Secretary of Ag already has is, to me, it sounds incredibly insane. That
Mhm.
say you have a backyard flock and you have a confirmed case of bird flu, they'll just come to your house and kill all of your chickens.
Wow.
They'll kill all of them. You have no property rights. You don't have any rights at all. They'll come take your property, kill them. You won't get compensated, and then they'll leave. Now they want to basically quarantine you, force you to take a test because of that road sign telling you about bird flu.
Yeah.
They're making farmers and their families take tests. They're also making them like self quarantine as well now.
Here in
Some of them.
Pennsylvania.
So that case, I believe, was in either New Jersey or Maryland. But
Okay.
the fear is that that's what they're going to start to do, because there was
Wow.
human beings that got bird flu. There's cows that have got bird flu. There's apparently a cat drank milk from a cow that had bird flu and died.
Mhm.
Um, so it's just a very big hysteria right now about the bird flu.
Wow.
I can tell you that when bird flu hit really, really bad in the 90s and in the 80s here in Lancaster County, my boss was still a boss back then, and he said it was way worse than this.
Mhm.
Way worse than this. So I don't think there's anything to be worried about.
Of
I
course
think
not.
my boss has said that it's a really fishy how it's spreading south to north when the migration is north to south.
That is
Um,
fishy.
it's
Interesting.
also traveling on the 81 corridor.
Mhm.
Interestingly enough, like it's going like like 81 south and heading north,
Mhm.
like up towards New Jersey.
Mhm.
And they think my boss is like, like that's really weird how it's just kind of staying close knit to 81. Um, and he's not a conspiratorial guy, but he said the testing that they use to test for bird flu in these chickens is the same exact process, the same exact test that they would test you to see if you had COVID.
Oh,
And
man.
and we
Oh,
all know about the false positives.
exactly.
So
Wow.
the process of testing is a bit hearsay, because if you remember with the COVID test, they could turn up the intensity of the test. They could turn up
Yep. Oh,
just how
yeah.
like they could turn it up and they could turn it down, to,
Right.
like
I
particulates.
forgot about
So
that. Yeah.
they can turn it up all the way up, and then say one chicken in a house of 30,000 has it. Well, if one
Mhm.
chicken has it out of 30,000, they kill all 30,000.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Right.
That makes no sense.
So in Middletown, Kreider's Middletown, which, you know, they killed it was between 1.5 million and 2 million birds because one house got it. One house got bird flu and they killed the whole complex.
Wow.
And
So,
those aren't meat birds. Those are egg-laying birds that they killed.
do you think? Yeah, I mean, we don't have to get conspiratorial. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But do you think there's a pandemic? Are they trying to sabotage like the food industry, or I mean, I don't know who even they
So,
is.
look, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories too much either, but I'm not gonna say their name, but my boss, my bosses, they are very concerned about the testing and the way they're testing because they know it was the same way they tested you for COVID. They're also worried about the added executive power, the added powers from the Secretary of Ag to come to your farm and take your animals. And basically, they're already growing chicken in membrane sacks, and they've already legalized selling cloned meat in America.
Oh yeah, I know about that. Sure.
So I'm not again. I love conspiracy theories just as much as anyone. I'm just saying every plan has to start somewhere.
Right.
And they're talking about how, like chickens can get viruses so easily and all this stuff. I mean, it seems like they're opening the door to make cloned meat more enticing for people. Whether it's like more ethical or it's cheaper or you don't have to worry about an infection or a virus coming in and killing a whole population, raising the price of the product. That's my conspiracy thought.
Sure.
Is that like they've been pushing these genetically modified organisms for you to eat. They've been pushing mealworms. I mean, there's plenty of commercials of celebrities eating mealworms. Have you seen those?
No.
Have you seen those? Yeah, there's like legitimate actors,
Wow.
well-known actors who are like eating mealworms.
In a commercial? What
Yeah,
for?
in commercials.
What
Yeah,
what are they advertising? Like
they're advertising the mealworm.
insanity?
No, they're advertising mealworms. I should try to find that. I know it sounds crazy.
Wow.
I've seen them. I've seen the videos.
Well, I mean, all this is why we need to get to the bottom of what happened during COVID. I mean, I don't know how much, like, I'm in favor of obviously of Fauci being prosecuted, and like, well, if you're a liberal, you might ask, well, what did he do? I'm like, well, why did Biden pardon him? Yeah,
we're about to find out because he can't plead the fifth anymore. You realize that?
Right. So
he can be brought before Congress and he won't be able to plead the fifth. He has to tell the truth.
I just had to share one of my favorite memes that's been circulating for the past few weeks. When the science needs a pardon, that's when you know it's bull,
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. I have a bunch of slides also in this folder. I mean, we can get into the RFK, but I think we should probably wrap up soon because, I mean, with RFK, we're just gonna have to wait till what, Wednesday? I think that's when they said.
Yeah, in Tulsi too, right?
Yeah, RFK and Tulsi. It's gonna be announced on Wednesday, and
I think they're both gonna get it.
I think so too. I mean, here they have the numbers, unless some stupid Republican changes his mind.
Well, I think Booker. I still think Cory Booker and Fetterman are going to vote for RFK.
Fetterman said he's not going to vote for RFK. Fetterman sucks. I'm sorry.
Really? He's not going to?
I saw somewhere somebody shared a thing. It says I will not be voting for him. Like, what do you expect?
About Booker?
I don't know. I didn't think any Democrat was going to vote for him because they're all Team Democrat. Like,
Well, that's a shame because Cory
yeah.
Booker's been behind RFK for a while.
Well, maybe. I mean, maybe he'll be the one good Democrat.
Maybe.
You know, I don't know. Um, yeah, I have a lot of good posts about this. Oh yeah. So yeah, before we go, this is on Open Secrets. You know what the number one donor to Congress is? Big Pharma. They RFK was right when I heard him say. I think he was on Del Bigtree or some other podcast a couple years ago, and he said that Big Pharma donates twice as much to Congress as the fossil fuel industry, and here it is right here in Open Secrets. So he was right. I had to check that out for myself. Now, look who the most vehement opponents of RFK were. Was it?
Those are
2 weeks
small
now?
dollar donors. Those were small dollar donors. They just worked for Big Pharma.
That's pretty good imitation.
I like
Bernie,
imitations. Imitations are fun.
you're pretty good.
I can't do Warren.
Oh
I
my
don't think
god,
I can do
she's
Warren.
crazy. She's like yelling all the time. Like
Her
she's
point,
really passionate about defending Big Pharma.
her
You
point
have
was
to
so
promise.
stupid.
Yeah, she's like, you will promise not to sue them. Like,
Well, here's the
okay,
thing.
yeah,
Here's the thing. I thought they did nothing wrong. I thought Big Pharma did nothing wrong. I thought they were heroes. So, like, what's there to sue? She's still worried about them being sued, but like, I thought, according to her, that Big Pharma has saved millions of children's lives and millions of people's lives around the world. What's there to sue over? Are they now like admitting that like there are real vaccine injuries and someone could profit off of that? Oh no!
you're not allowed to say the word vaccine injured. Like, you could be canceled for that.
Well, I'm just saying though, like she's kind of letting the cat out of the bag.
Of course she is.
She's letting the cat out of the bag that like, okay, there could be a whole other industry of just suing pharmaceutical companies but they always say they're safe and effective. What's there to sue?
Right. You don't trust the law?
I mean, I was surprised about that. Like for her to like step up and be like and say that like you got to promise you won't profit off of this. Profit off of what? This is supposed to be safe and effective. This is supposed to be saving millions of children.
Point, right? Why are you worried? Yeah,
I know. I wish RFK would have said that. Well, excuse me, Miss Warren. Why are you exactly worried about that? If it's safe and effective and we have good science, why are you worried?
That's really good. Yeah. Yeah. You ever listen to Jimmy Dore? You're like the guy who does the voices at the beginning.
I love that part of Jimmy Dore.
Yeah. You could be that guy. Like, we don't need your commentary anymore, Josh. Just to be that imitation guy. I'm just kidding.
I can only do so many people.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up,
sure.
Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up? Or
I think I'm good. I've covered everything I wanted to say.
Yeah, today. I just want to say to everyone, thank you for listening. We really would appreciate feedback, emails. If you have our numbers, text us. If you're on the other side, like me and Dan are clearly on one side, but if you're willing to come on and talk, we absolutely would love that. There's nothing better in this country than sitting next to someone that you disagree with and having a friendly conversation. And, and I would love to get some feedback from people who listen. Because, we're doing this out of the kindness of our heart. We make $0 off of this. We don't want to make any money off of this. We just feel like that there should be an outlet out there that people can listen to and maybe get some valuable information from, and we have no like bad motives. So thank you. We appreciate everyone who listens, and if you ever feel like you want to share it to anyone or send it to a buddy, feel free. And we've already taken criticism a couple times, so we're veterans at that. So yeah, thank you everyone. We really appreciate it.
Ditto what Josh said. Very well said. Yeah, thank you everyone.
You guys have a great week. Stay safe and be careful on the ice tomorrow. It's going to be pretty icy, I think.
Yeah. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Don't have too much.
Go Birds!
Yeah.
Go Birds!
I'm not going to comment on that.
His
They're
son
not my team.
has him locked up in a room if he doesn't root for the Chiefs. He probably wants the Eagles to win.
Well, yeah, my Commanders are out of it. So.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
that's right. That
All
was
right,
sad.
guys.
55-23.
We'll get them next time. All right.
No,
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. Peace. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.